Hi, everybody. I'm Mr. Jones, and many of you know me. I think that what Mr. Freitas is doing here is asking a very interesting question that has, as many different answers as there are people in the world. We're talking about worldview, and I have maybe two different definitions of worldview here. First being overall perspective from which one interprets the world. The second being a collection of beliefs about life and the universe. I would say that I have a very complicated worldview. I'm in my 50s now, and I started out in life I was a very curious young person. I think as from the time I was 6 or 7, I had a big curiosity about, what is the world? What is the universe? Why am I in it? What am I doing here? And that kind of a thing. And in addition to this set of questions that I've had, I also had big ambitions through life, in life, beginning at a very early age. And I wanted to be an artist from a very early age, not a visual artist, but something, either a musical artist or a poetic artist or a literary artist. And I think that the relation here is that I would use the idea I had when I was a young person is that I would puzzle my way through these questions, these big questions that we all have. Why is there something rather than nothing, and why am I here? And I would use the arts to, offer my personal answers to this. And so by the time I was 10 or 11 years old, I decided to devote my life to poetry. And that's essentially what I've done. And the reason I became a teacher was to support myself as a poet, because I figured out pretty early on that you can't really make a living writing poetry. But in order to write my poetry, I've done a lot of reading over many, many different areas of human inquiry. I've read into all of the great religions. I've studied a lot of philosophy and have looked at what the philosophers have had to say. And I've also looked at what the artists have had to say, and especially the great poets and novelists. And I think at some point, just as a poet, my desire is to contribute to that endless series of responses, artistic responses to the question, who are we, why are we here, and so on and so forth. So I don't know if I could summarize for you my particular worldview, because it is so complex and it comes from so many different parts of what I've studied. But I would say that in the end, I have a worldview that comes down to very simple things that are encapsulated in all the great religions. I consider myself a Buddhist in terms of my thinking about the universe. But but also a lot of the views that I have are also there in Christianity and other religions. People exist to help other people, and that's essentially what we should do. And hopefully, as we go through life, and as a Buddhist, I believe in reincarnation. I believe that we are human beings here on planet Earth who have been through multiple lives throughout time, and we are in a destiny that we can't really completely understand, because we only see the little window in our particular life here on planet Earth. But I believe that at some point all individuals hopefully will be on a track for improvement, personal improvement. How do we become better people? How do we become less selfish? How do we become more giving and more caring individuals? So I would say that that's, in a nutshell, I guess, that's my worldview, or at least a little bit of it. So I'm looking very much forward to when Mr. Freitas is finished with this series to see what some of you have to say.